The U.S. President Donald Trump's Department of Government Efficiency, DOGE, has been dissolved with 8 months remaining in his mandate. The initiative, initially launched as a demonstration of Trump's promise to reduce the size of government, faced criticism for producing few tangible savings. Last week, Scott Cooper, director of the Office of Personnel Management, OPM, told Reuters that DOGE no longer exists and will cease operating as a centralized entity, even though 8 months remain on the White House's original 18-month plan announced on January 20th. From its inception to its closure, the advisory department moved rapidly through the D.C. bureaucracy, cutting jobs and contracts in an effort to boost efficiency, reduce unnecessary spending, and combat fraud in federal expenditures. DOGE's website reported that the department had ended 13,440 contracts, 15,887 grants, and 264 leases, figures that shifted significantly over its 10 months of operation. It also played a major role in the federal workforce reductions this year. In a blog post on Friday, OPM Director Cooper noted that the government had hired roughly 68,000 employees in 2025, while about 317,000 workers had left. In October 2024, DOGE's head, Elon Musk, claimed he could cut at least $2 trillion from the federal budget, later reducing the target to $1 trillion ahead of Trump's inauguration. As of November 24, 2025, DOGE reported $214 billion in savings, or $1,329 per taxpayer, via asset sales, contract and lease cancellations, fraud elimination, grant cuts, interest savings, regulatory changes, and workforce reductions. Many savings were recorded soon after launch, prompting talk of a DOGE dividend to taxpayers, supported by Musk, Trump, and public surveys. But no payments were ever made. Errors on DOGE's wall of receipts inflated actual savings. Contracts were often overstated, including an $8 million ICE deal listed as $8 billion. CBS News estimated some savings were exaggerated by up to 97%. In February, real savings were likely $1 to $7 billion versus DOGE's $55 billion tally. Politico verified only $32.7 billion of the claimed $52.8 billion contract savings. Estimating $1.4 billion is accurate. Cuts sometimes cost the government money, reducing net gains. The Partnership for Public Service found $135 billion lost in the first 100 days from productivity declines and rehire cycles, excluding lawsuits or IRS cuts. DOGE's $1 trillion overhaul fell far short, though its core agenda continues. Even after DOGE's shutdown, the administration says it will keep pursuing the department's core goals. Reuters reports that the OPM has taken over many of DOGE's responsibilities, and several departing staff members are expected to transition into roles within other government agencies. Trump officials have not explicitly acknowledged DOGE's shutdown, even after Musk's May feud with Trump and his departure from Washington. Still, the administration has hinted at the department's end since the summer, despite Trump's earlier executive order stating DOGE would operate through July 2026. DOGE's quiet disappearance stands in stark contrast to the months-long, high-profile campaign to promote it. Trump, his advisors, and cabinet members repeatedly highlighted the initiative on social media, while Musk, its initial leader, frequently praised its work on X, and even once waved a chainsaw to symbolize his push to slash government jobs. Let's look back at Trump and Elon Musk's early presser together, where they elaborated on DOGE's vision in its proceedings.
At a high level, you say, what is the goal of DOGE, and I think a significant part of this of presidency is to restore democracy. This may seem like, well, are we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, okay, you would have to, if you sorry. So tell you, gravitas can be difficult sometimes. If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, And if you have rule of the bureaucrat, or if the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have? If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy, we live in a bureaucracy. So it's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives, the president, the House, and the Senate, decide what happens, as opposed to a large, unelected bureaucracy. This is not to say that there are good people who are in the federal bureaucracy, but you can't have an autonomous federal bureaucracy. You have to have one that is responsive to the people. That's the whole point of a democracy. And if you looked at this, if you looked at the founders today and said, what do you think of the way things have turned out? Well, we have this unelected, fourth unconstitutional branch of government, which is the bureaucracy, which has, in a lot of ways, currently more power than any elected representative. And this is not something that people want, and it does not match the will of the people. So it's just something we've got to fix. And then we've also got to address the deficit. So we've got a $2 trillion deficit, and if we don't do something about this deficit, the country's going bankrupt. I mean, it's really astounding that the interest payments alone on the national debt exceed the Defense Department budget, which is shocking because we spend a lot of money on defense. But if that just keeps going, we're essentially going to bankrupt the country. So what I really would say is, like, it's not optional for us to reduce the federal expenses. It's essential. It's essential for America to remain solvent as a country, and it's essential for America to have the resources necessary to provide things to its citizens and not simply be servicing vast amounts of debt.
And also, could you mention some of the things that your team has found, some of the crazy numbers, including the woman that walked away with about 30 million?
Right.
Etc.
Well, we do find it sort of rather odd that there are quite a few people in the bureaucracy who have ostensibly a salary of a few $100,000, but somehow manage to accrue tens of millions of dollars in net worth while they are in that position, which is what happened to USAID. We're just curious as to where it came from. Maybe they're very good at investing, in which case we should take their investment advice, perhaps. But there seems to be mysteriously they get wealthy. We don't know why. Where does it come from? And I think the reality is that they're getting wealthy at the taxpayer expense. That's the honest truth of it. So we're looking at if you look at say Treasury, for example, basic controls that should be in place, that are in place in any company, such as making sure that any given payment has a payment categorization code, that there is a comment field that describes the payment, and that if a payment is on the do not pay list, that you don't actually pay it. None of those things are true currently. So the reason that departments can't pass audits is because the payments don't have a categorization code. It's like just a massive number of blank checks just flying out of the building. So you can't reconcile blank checks. You've got comment fields that are also blank, so you don't know why the payment was made. And then we've got this truly absurd, a do not pay list, which can take up to a year for an organization to get on a do not pay list. And this, we're talking about terrorist organizations, we're talking about known fraudsters, known aspects of waste, known things that do not match any congressional appropriation, can take up to a year to get on the list. And even once on the list is not used. It's mind-blowing. So what we're talking about here, we're really just talking about adding common sense controls that should be present, that haven't been present. So you say, like, well, how could such a thing arise? That seems crazy.